I almost laughed that one.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of Comics Della Morte, episode 51, storyboarding for horror movies. And I am Ronnie Gunter, Crimson Owl Comics, my co-host Jason Alexander, Frogbreaker Studios, and our special guest, Zoe Bones. How are you doing, Zoe?
Welcome.
2020 and 2021, am I right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a bad sequel.
Right?
Yep.
So
it was my perfect introduction to horror.
Right. So tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm 5'2". I like long walks on the beach. I've always been artist and weird, so horror is kind of my jam. And
That's
I moved out here to sunny California in Los Angeles and I got involved in storyboarding horror movies and fun stuff and ripping people apart and, lightly basting them. And so that sort of thing.
So first off, we'll just say, what was the one movie that started it all?
Oh, most assuredly Hatchet.
No, as a kid, like what movie started you to fall in love with horror?
One? Just one? Really?
Or a group of them.
Probably the Friday the 13th franchise. I mean, that's like the pinnacle. Like, I was terrified of it, but it's like, it's therapeutic.
Yeah.
It's like, dragging out the boogeyman in the woods and dealing with him, and you can't kill him. He just keeps coming back. And don't have sex.
Yeah. Right.
That's very true. Like I am also in a compromised community of horror movie people. So I'm not the first one out of the house to inspect noises. So that's out for me.
I think about that all the time. Like I'll be up working real late. It's like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and you hear this like really messed up noise. And you're just like, "What the fuck is that?" Nope.
No.
It's just gonna stay out there. Nope.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I will inspect it at daylight.
I've seen Evil Dead. I don't trust trees.
Right. Find any book in a random woods, not to trust it. Exactly. So
never know what you'll find in those little neighborhood libraries these days.
So before you created Hatchet, how long have you been drawing for? Like, actually taking it seriously.
Honestly, since I can remember, like, oh man, do I have that like hanging on here? I actually kept a friggin' drawing I did of somebody. It was just like a portrait that I did in like 1st or 2nd grade art class, and I kept that damn thing. And at that time, I was making shit. Well, I was more into like Lisa Frank and all that kind of like unicorns and rainbows. And
yeah, gotcha.
I'm also that. But I would actually draw something, and then I would like put it in the Xerox machine and sell it to people for like 5 cents a piece.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Inflation since then, it was the 80s, 5 cents is now 10.
So with you being a storyboard artist, like, did you go to college for that, or how did you really wanted to start doing that for a lot of things?
I did. I went to Columbus College of Art and Design in my hometown, Columbus, Ohio.
Nice.
I took there wasn't like a storyboarding course, so to speak. There was sequential drawing. I got really into comics. And there was also a video class and photography and like all that kind of stuff. And I kind of got into that. And I was like, I kind of really enjoy that bit. So I ended up for my senior project, I made like a little mockumentary sort of film about golf culture. And it was like 30 minutes long. I meant to do it for festivals, but I was just too damn tired. I was just glad to have it done. But it was a freaking great time, and it taught me a lot. Like I basically produced the whole thing. I came up with it. I wrote it. I had people collaborating with me, and I storyboarded the whole thing out. I like decided the shots. I got some friends to shoot it for me. Got some friends to be actors in it. It was really a fun experience. I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
What's up, Frank? What's up, Gary? What's up, Rude? How y'all doing?
Yeah.
I'm seeing stuff. Oh, I have to click on the comments to see what everybody's talking about. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Just pretty much everyone's saying hi. But yeah, that's awesome. And you did stuff for the collector as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I sort of, it balloons out. Like once you meet one person, then they have friends and they have friends. And I have this guy. Yeah. Or I have this person, girl thing.
So when you start off doing the storyboard, like how much of the actual final script do you get before it goes off to like actual shooting the scenes? Like
do I get the finalized version of the script, or do I get what?
Do you get the finalized script, or do you get a rough draft of like the script?
It depends on how much money they have.
Gotcha.
Okay, so here's what I wanted to ask about that. Like, do you establish the shots through your storyboard, or when you get the script, are you told what they would like to see from the script in the storyboards?
It goes both ways. I've had people like just hand me the script and just go, knock yourself out, have a blast. And I'm like, oh, that's like so no direction.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, it seems like freedom, but it's sort of like a little bit of hell because you don't know anything.
Exactly.
Like it's really stressful when people do that, when they hire you to perform a task and then they don't, like they just be creative. Just
But they still kind of think that you'll see what they think they see. But then when you don't,
some people, like there's, the spectrum, like there's some people that like try, like don't do any of that. They just hand me the script and like those are, pretty early on people that are just like more trying to be writers and get stuff out. And then there's people who have like vision, like they've seen it in their head. And they go, I don't know how to draw, but okay, here's this little guy. Oh, where's the screen? And then you have this little guy, and I want it to be like the camera's over backwards with the camera. Like the camera's over here, and we're looking at the scene like this, and he's sniffing glue, and like they'll like describe the whole thing to me. Like Adam Green, the guy who did Hatchet, we would sit in a coffee shop, and he would bring like GI Joes and Barbie dolls. And it was like super fun, and I like took little notes and stuff like that, and then I showed it. He was like, yeah, that's it. It was like he was explaining to me what was in his head, and it was obviously like very well thought out. And when he first started going in, like there wasn't like a super ton of money, so he was like very precise about how this wanted to look, and he like really thought about it and crafted it in his own head before he even bothered like hiring me or looking for me. And I appreciate that. I like the vision. And then there's also the open invitation of, okay, well, you know what you're doing, and you've set up shots before. Do you have anything to add to this? So that's where it kind of like,
that's the collaboration. Yeah.
But awesome. I still have had plenty of people go like, oh, here's the script. Have fun.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean, with that being frustrating, because you'll literally put a lot of creativity in, and then they're like, well, I didn't like the way you did this, so let's do this. Do you get that a lot when people just want to say, here, do what you feel fit, and then how many times they changed it? Like, I know how to put it as, like, with those people, have they usually tried to say, well, you have to do another revision?
For the most part, like, I haven't really had too many revisions in the projects that I work on.
Gotcha.
And even in, I worked in advertising for a bit, like, they were a little bit more particular, but like, for the most part, like, people don't really ask for that much revisions. I mean, I imagine like the further you go and like the more pressing and stressing the project is, and if you're dealing with like millions of dollars, then they're going to be like, dude, his hair is in the wrong place. You got to do it all over again.
Yeah. That's cool.
Then you start getting like picky, but yeah.
Right.
Well, with oh, go ahead, Jason.
Oh no, I was gonna say, like, as far as storyboarding go, I think that it represents my favorite part of drawing horror, because it's still loose and it's still like super like rough drawn dynamic, and I think that that's where my horror lives. Like, and so it's like it's always my favorite part, because even in your storyboards of The Collector, I saw the mask there before I saw it looking on YouTube, and I appreciated it more drawn, because you established what I perceive to be the tension of it. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I enjoy the storyboards more so far. So good on you.
You got to watch Hatchet. Hatchet is great.
Yeah. Awesome. I'll check it out.
Hatchet is like one of those slashers. It's like, you have Freddy and all of them. Hatchet, a lot of people says Hatchet is like one of those new slashers to them. Really great death scenes and just great character design. Oh man, I love it.
Well, that's how it was billed. Like the taglines at the time were, it's not a Japanese one, it's not a remake, blah blah. It's like old school horror. Like, there's a freaking boogeyman in the woods. You're having sex. You're drinking.
Right.
Like, classic.
Yeah, it's gonna happen to you. Yeah.
So pretty much after you do the storyboard, do you spend much time on the set at all, or you're pretty much done and you go off to your next project?
I don't spend a lot of time on the set, and I usually don't get to the set when it's like my part's like way before. Especially in the independent movies, like the storyboards are halfly used to like gain funding for the film. So, I mean, it's like all imaginary, and like they have an idea of what it's going to look like, but when it's actually there, it looks like a little bit different because of what was available and how they had to, like, I can imagine all the great camera angles I want to, but if they want to get that angle, they have to like knock out the roof.
Right.
Or something. Like, I mean, you don't know until it's there. So, and there's no like last minuting. I mean, most everyone at the levels that I've worked at, like, they just go on the fly. It's like, this is our plan, but when we get here, it's not like we're going back to the drawing board, so to speak.
Right.
It's just like, we'll
figure it out. If it doesn't work, we'll just figure it out as we can.
Yes.
So you said Hatchet's like your favorite project that you worked on so far?
Oh, by far. I mean, it was my first, and it was like,
yeah. I mean, Jason, he probably doesn't know, but the villain, I can't remember his name. It's on the top of my head. Yeah, he's
not a villain; he's a victim.
Exactly. The actor who plays him is Kane Holder. He's known as playing Jason in some of the later Friday the 13th movies. So I bet that was great for you, because you're a Friday the 13th fan. Like, you're literally designing, in the storyboard for what a great actor who portrayed Jason later on became. I mean, that probably was like star fan for you. Like, wow, you know.
I've had a bit of that.
Mhm.
He's a really, really super cool guy.
Yeah.
And he had asked me for some storyboards before, but like he wanted to like keep them as part of like a keepsake kind of thing. And I always meant to give it to him. I kind of forgot. And I'm like,
Gotcha.
okay, what's the statute of limitations? It's been like how many years now? Kane Hodder, if you're watching, I will totally give you some friggin' storyboards from Hatchet. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I just gotta ask, like, I mean, in movies you see him, is he like a really big dude in real life? Because he looks like it in the movies.
I wouldn't say he's like ginormous.
Yeah.
A lot of people look a lot bigger than they are.
Mhm.
I I actually did an internship on Star Trek Voyager, and I remember looking at Kate Mulgrew and like her butt is this wide. I'm like, oh my god! I mean, she looks tiny in the show, but it's like she's tiny. Like, and I'm looking at myself like.
That's awesome. Well, let's see. You got anything else to ask, Jason?
No, I think that I'm just enjoying the ride. Like I think this is awesome.
Gotcha. So, we'll go a little bit back to Friday the 13th. Like, when you're doing storyboard for horror,
Mhm.
what, like, how do you go about like trying to find that great shot for drawing? It's like, okay, you have like this person has to be cut up in this way. As you an artist, how do you really go out there? You just go off of mine, or do you try to like get some reference from like, you know, fake makeup, or how do you go about doing that? Because I know some people they like doing references or seeing how
Mhm.
other people did in the movies in the past, or they just like this play go off their mind and hope that the it looks believable.
Um, well, you definitely study other stuff. Like what works is like you don't
Hmm.
freaking reinvent the wheel, but you also have to like kind of take the chance.
Yeah.
Especially doing storyboards for horror movies, like most of the reason, like a huge chunk of the reason to do that, especially with the Hatchet movie, because we did a lot of practical effects, and it's
The
like,
only
well,
way to do it.
how, huh?
The only way to go.
Yeah, well, it's like you have to plan that stuff out.
Hmm.
It's you can't just get on there and be like, oh yeah, this is going to be bleeding all over the place. And like you have to be like, okay, well, if I want this shot, okay, well, we have to run like a blood tube up through here, and then we're gonna how
Right.
we're gonna do that, and like
Yeah.
it's like practical planning kind of stuff.
Hmm.
So that when you get there, you're not like, oh shit, this doesn't work. And like the shot that you're doing is like, oh yeah, we need blood, but how are we supplying it to the thing that we're ripping apart?
Hmm.
And of course, I gotta stop saying I need something different. What's the I need something more magical than like I don't know.
Yeah, I just thought to ask because with me and my co-hosts and even Gary in the chats, we're big John Carpenter the Thing fans because just the special effects, I mean, are just great and they still hold up to today. I mean, I hate seeing too much CGI horror. I really do.
Yes,
You
it
know,
ruins everything.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, sometimes it's cool, but like
Mhm.
there was one of my favorite movies is I think it's just called The Dark, and like the
Mhm.
whole thing is like from the 70s, like late 70s, and like they made everything so that there was so much shadow that you couldn't tell what was going on, and
Yeah.
it was scarier because your mind puts stuff in
Mhm.
there. It's so much more scarier than like, oh well, let's show this, and like, oh, that looks really stupid.
Yeah.
Fake.
Yeah. But of course, it's one of those things like I think the 80s really did it well where like, okay, there are some things we have to use CGI and then some be practical effects.
Mhm.
But you have to find that fine line. And I'm just happy to, really see people loving practical effects more and more because like you said, there, like The Ring, yes, it has some good stuff there, but I just want to see some fake blood and some good old fashioned like fake bodies ripping apart.
Like, the world is scary now. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, nobody wants to see the thing that can't happen.
Yeah.
But sometimes people want to see the worst thing
Mm-hmm.
that, like, the worst thing that could happen. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to be like super grim, but I think that's what lends to people's craving for like practical effect is like make it look, take it over the top, but make it believable a little bit. And I don't know, that's just me being silly. I love that part of even thumbnailing a comic is just so fluid and raw, and that's kind of like the practical effects to me. Like, you start to put the inks on it, then it starts to get those produced layers. But
I'm sort of I quit doing so much storyboarding because actually it was really funny. I was getting sort of mad at like not finishing things.
No way, yeah.
And it's just like gone. You have to stop working on it now. And I'm like,
right.
Oh. It was starting to like wear on my soul. I'm like, I need to finish it. So I can't ever finish anything. The plight of the artist, like, I can't ever finish anything.
Right. But I seen on your website that you've done like some project designs. Like, didn't you on your website design a inflatable slide or something that was like a skeleton?
I did. I work reoccurringly with Mr. Bones Pumpkin Patch, and that's something that happens here in Los Angeles every year. The past couple of years have been, or the past year has been kind of, we didn't do it. I think they just did delivery and walk-ups, but it's usually like this pop-up attraction, and I'm sure you've seen like the pumpkin patches have the slides and stuff, and like this one does it a little bit more even because a lot of famous people go to it. It's in Beverly Hills or Culver City or somewhere around there usually, depending where they get the lot. But I mean, they really go all out. It's like Disneyland pumpkin patch. And I have been super blessed to actually work with those people for several years, and I keep going back, and sometimes I don't do it and sometimes I do, and I get to design attractions with them, and I get to like create like an experience, and it's pretty friggin' awesome. And I, when I'm feeling kind of crappy, the guy who owns the place, who's kind of like a dear friend to me, is kind of like a dad. And he's like taking me around. He's like, look at all these people. They're like so freaking happy. Look at them. They're going down the little slide there. You did that. You did that.
That's really awesome. That's awesome.
One of our audience has a question. Let's see. Are there any particular films you have studied that influence your approach towards the storyboard process?
Throwing me off guard there. I have to. Let me think about that. I want to say De Palma comes to mind. I studied a lot of film history and like the way that they do things, and like rotating the camera and like the rack perspective, and like creating a sense of drama just from shooting. And I'm very about making things a little bit different. Like the talking heads is kind of boring, and like it comes to like creative camera angles and like what is finding the point of interest of drama and making it dynamic. I don't particular films. I'm like, what particular film? Let me think. I might have to come back to that. You like knocked me off my post there.
I don't know if I can answer that question because it's not from a storyboarding standpoint, but like writing some religious horror, like visually, I think of Prince of Darkness a lot. Like that one just kind of felt right. And now the Lighthouse kind of has that same. It's a lighthouse, but it still has that cathedral-y feeling, and it's easy to draw from those moods to tell a story visually.
The questioners, the diploma plays a lot with depth and field and tonalities and language. Yes, he does. I believe that he's the one that I'm remembering. It was a story about like space exploration and like trip to Mars, I think. And he just did this like continuous rotating camera movement and like pulling out. And I was like, dude, this is so badass. Which is great for the horror. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, with all three of us, we work on horror in different ways. And we all know that being an artist is not always the most, money-making thing, especially now with everything being superheroes.
I live in a castle. I don't know what you're talking about.
But, if you knew everything, like, have you ever thought about doing other types of art besides just like the fantasy and horror, or is that just what you want to do?
I have done about everything. And gotcha. the last job that I had, like day job that I had, I was designing figurines and like little dragon figurines and lamps and cutie like skull stuff and goth stuff and whatever. But I'm not advertising them because they suck.
Gotcha.
That's awesome though. You were still creating on your last 9 to 5. Like I get a kick out of that. That's pretty cool.
It's really hard. Like it seems like the jobs that I get are like so fringe, and I mean I really need to be in LA for that kind of thing because there's like even before that I did like pins for Disney World. I mean, there's all sorts of like little fringe jobs here and there, like people hiring to like design T-shirts and stuff like that. And I don't really get a super lot of say in that, but it's enjoyable and fun. After my recent events, I'm pretty much like I want to make my own stuff. I want to do this stuff. Like how hard was that to come up with? But I bet you this person's like making bank.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, all I have to do is like throw a design together, put it up on Amazon. Like people are gonna buy it if you know how to like sell it and stuff. And I'm like, how bad could I rock that? I mean, that's sort of like what I'm looking forward to now.
Yeah, there'd be a lot. I know, like I work in retail. And you'd be surprised how many like soccer moms are like, "Oh, this is a cute cup. I got to get this because of this saying." So, yeah.
and it could be like, okay, this thing, the product itself costs like $1, $2 or whatever, and they like slap something cool on it, and if it's cool enough, you can sell it for like $25.
Yeah. And I have to say, like I've been looking at it. I really love the fire that you did on those paintings in the background, like the sun. Yeah, that's really nice.
I didn't know how this would be aligned. I actually had this like framed up different, but like, man, I should have like framed myself over here because I like that. Look, my head is on fire.
Yeah, but yeah.
Wow, it's actually pretty.
Yeah,
it's pretty even there,
right? Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, thank you.
So, like you said in the beginning, have you ever desired to like work on your own like horror comic at all, or or just do what you're doing now?
I have something in the hopper. I kind of a few years ago, I sort of like waned out on comic books because it is a lot of freaking work.
Yes,
So
it
much
is.
work. And every time I did a Comic-Con and I had a book or something, people pick out, it's like, you know, you get the friggin' book and they pick it up and you're like, oh my God, I spent so much time on that and I effort and sleepless nights and struggling and this and that. And they go, $5. And I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
Really? But if you have the comic book or whatever, and then you have like mugs and a T-shirt and stickers and stuff like that, I don't think that I'm going to do a comic book. I might do like a storybook.
Oh, okay.
And I might
That's cool.
just move back into doing my own video medium.
That'd be cool.
That's really big on the table today. But like these days, is like doing my own video entertainment kind of stuff, all guerrilla style, because I don't have anything fancy, but I got a camera.
So besides storyboarding, you took classes for directing and stuff like that too?
It's just a matter of like I've done so many different types of projects and like having a pretty well round into what needs to be done and this and that, that I can finish stuff like that, like have the vision and like go, okay, well, these are my assets. This is what I can accomplish. How can I come up with something cool with this stuff that I have available to me, instead of like, why I don't have a camera, why I don't have a studio, why I don't have this, and why I don't, like, you can still make cool shit.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Frank, he had something to ask. Do gingers have souls? No, that's why we age so well.
Come on now, my family's Irish. I don't know if I have a soul. I am a chick. Chicks don't have souls.
But that's cool.
Watchtower Bible and Tract Society has mine, so that's no bueno either. So
besides,
guess we're all in the same boat, and I don't have red hair.
So besides like your favorite horror movie, like out of every single horror movie that you've ever seen, what would be your favorite death and why?
God damn it. Now I gotta look at my collection and be like, what? I don't know. I haven't like sat around like it kind of reminds me of like summer school where the dudes were like Texas Chainsaw Massacre enthusiasts and they like, oh yeah, this particular, and they like knew all the trivia. Is like, I don't know, you're catching me off guard. I'm like, everything.
Okay, what's your favorite Friday the 13th kill?
You know what? It wasn't necessary. Oh no, wait, there was a kill. I'm thinking about like the eyeball and the finger. Like I can't. I think it was like. But there was also some kids having sex in the woods.
Which is every single Friday the 13th movie.
And you know the guy I think got up to pee or something. And Jason had some pole post diggers. And he came and like I posted her home. Pulled her eyes up with the post. I'm like, how is that even possible?
I'm still such a pearl clutcher sometimes. So like when people describe horror scenes, sometimes I'm like, it catches me off guard every once in a while.
Right.
I can't. I have a hard time watching like the super real stuff, like the Hostel movies. There was
I was never into those.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there was a scene where they like cut the back of the Achilles tendon.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm like, oh, I can't. Oh god.
Yep.
And even that something about the freaking ankle, like in Evil Dead, they had she picks up the pencil and like stabs him in the freaking ankle and like twists it in, and I'm like, oh, I feel that. Oh God. Oh.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, there's been some really like realistic kills, and then like kills that's like, okay, that was too much, like, you know, non-realistic. But yeah, like out of the Friday the 13th movies, which one was your least favorite?
I don't know. I don't know them all. Like I just remember watching them as a kid and being like terrified.
Yeah.
And then like having that sort of like developed my interest to be like, well, I don't want to be like afraid of that. It's just a freaking movie. And because I would get like super creepy and like, oh, like even when I was like younger, remember when Thriller came out and they like debuted it? Like I was a little scamp back then. And when he like turned into the werewolf, like I was hiding behind the couch.
Yeah.
Like,
and then Vincent Price.
And
then Vincent's
we used to rent the extra long version of that almost like every other weekend, and it was like 40 minutes. And I don't know, like I thought his like Wildcat Werewolf was like so cool, but like still kind of scary, you know. But such a good. It belongs in the horror field for sure. Like,
it was pretty amazing. I was
Vincent Price, you know, his voiceover, gotta have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude. So let's see. I'm trying to think of something else to ask.
I'm going through all like my favorite ones that I've done. Like I've drawn. I'd have to say in Hatchet 2, where Tony Todd gets like peeled. Like his
skin yeah, like, that was a good one.
It was kind of amazing. I loved it. And then I was like, hey, you know, those anatomy classes really paid off.
For sure.
Ace has another question.
Was there a film you worked on that had a scene in the script that proved really challenging to visualize and storyboard? Yes, all the time.
Good question.
For sure, like some days you have like off days, and some days people just aren't communicating very well what they're looking for. For sure, even the one that I just mentioned where Tony Todd gets like peeled like he's a freaking rubber glove. It was like, oh my god, how the hell am I going to draw that? And that was like really intimidating. You know? Like, how do you make that look realistic, and how are we going to show that? Because like I said, like the half of the reason that you storyboard in horror movies is to figure out how you're going to do the practical effects. And I'm like, oh my god. Like, how much weight is on me for that? How are you going to peel somebody on screen and make it look good and showy?
Don't blame me, guys. This is your choice.
That's a good one. Like, oh, I bet.
It's like, oh, there's Tony Todd.
Yeah.
And then he like whacked him on a tree. It was great.
Yeah, it was a great scene. I recommend to watch the movies. They're classics, definitely.
I enjoyed all of them. Like I only really did stuff for the first two, and then Anchor Bay took it but I still like. I love those movies. Like they're just freaking cool. And if Adam wants to work with me again, he totally. But I haven't talked to him in a while, and he's done like Hollister and stuff. But
gotcha. So with you also drawing horror, like, do you feel that during like this time of the year, sometimes you get more commissions or more work because it's that time of the season where people want more like Halloween themes and horror themes related? Or do you feel that you pretty much get like work all year round because people want just to see cool shit like that?
I'm not really sure. Most of the people that are really into horror, they're into it all year round, and it doesn't matter. A lot of people that are into it for seasonal stuff really aren't into it, and like only like the kitschy kind of stuff anyway.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I mean, if you really found your audience, like I think it's a year-round venture.
Mm-hmm.
I've been like toggling back and forth all over the place between like having a day job, freelancing, trying another day job, freelance, like in doing the circle and trying to figure out, like, I haven't ultimately decided, oh, this is exactly the thing for me. It's like, this is exactly the thing for me at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Gotcha.
I'm definitely moving back into the horror genre.
Awesome. It's the best genre to work in.
It's the best playground.
Even
we have
comics,
all the cool kid tables.
Exactly.
We take
I
up
always
all cool kid tables
I
everywhere.
always say that a horror movie or a horror comic, you could have your hero, you could have your romance, but then you could have people's heads getting cut off at the same time.
Yeah, you got to deal with all of it. It's all here.
I think we need a good story about Mantis Lady. This made
Yeah.
me think that is cutting heads off.
Yikes!
I like mantis. They're cute.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any work that you're working on right now, like you want to show, like art wise?
I'm sort of focused. I'm not really sure where I have all of these things that I want to do, and I'm like, oh my god, which one? And when you have so much stuff, it's like typical artist, writer kind of things. Like you have so many things that you want to do, and it's like none of them are going to get done unless you pick one.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling pretty compelled to go with the goth girl thing that I've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of, they're all just like one shots that they're sort of like therapeutic, and I'm developing the story as I go. It's sort of like a one-page webcomic, and I am figuring out the particulars of her, but I got her a Facebook page, and I'm starting to post stuff and like sort of start to build a fan base, and I'm hoping to do like really cool t-shirts and stickers and shit with her, and I am feeling like I'm developing that goth girl.
Nice. Very cool.
That's my evil thing, Monty Burns.
And do you have some of that? Do you have some of that progress to show on Instagram, or you have any of that released yet to show?
I'm debating how. I have some things that I'm going. I built a page up before, and my Facebook got jacked. By the way, back up all your passwords. I don't know. There's like a lot of shifty stuff going on Facebook lately, but I lost pages and fan bases that I built, and I'm like, so I have to start all the frick over again. So I have some in the hot, like I haven't shown or I haven't posted yet that are live. I'm thinking that I'm going to release those on a like once a week basis or something like that, and then I have extra that I've already done. So that if I get behind, I can be like, oh, okay, well, no worries, I can still post this with consistency. But I'm just now trying to figure out what's happening, what's going on. This is not my house. This is not my life.
Who are these people?
Nice.
My God, what have I done?
That's cool.
But yeah, I'm feeling goth girl way right now.
Pretty cool. Does anybody else have anything to ask? I mean, Chase, he's had a lot of questions, but Chase usually does.
Chase is a wonderful participant. I applaud you, good sir.
Oh man, no, I think this has been pretty fun. Like I get a kick out of seeing. It's another layer of storytelling because it goes from 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions. And then with your project that you do, what was it called? The pumpkin.
Oh, Mr. Bones.
Yes.
Pumpkin patch.
It's like that's another form of storytelling, and that's what it's all about. Like that's what this channel is all about, is like the art of storytelling through horror.
Exactly.
Yes. In the case of Mr. Bones, it's like kind of a kid-friendly thing, so it's like cute.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
We're breaking them in early with the sugar lumps. And
Yep.
what is the horror film of your dreams you want to see made that hasn't been made?
Good one.
I actually have a story that I've been working on for a very long time. It's in film script form right now. I've been thinking about making it into like a story time book where there's like a picture and then there's words on one side. I'm like, comic books are too, to me, they're too cumbersome. It's too much work.
Yeah.
And I want to like get it out and get it done, but it's a story about energy vampires and the existence of the human race throughout time and where souls come from. And
Sounds interesting.
In a realm that is eternal.
Nice.
I've been working on that for a bit, and that is what I want to see come out at some point, because I see such like wonderful freaking visuals in my head, and I'm like, I don't make the time to do it because it's so big and overwhelming, and I'm like, well, in the meantime, I got to make money.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
How am I gonna do that?
No, but like Jason was saying, when I started this show, we just started doing just like comic book reviews on horror comics. But now, talking about just horror topics in general, and then getting people who works in different, different art styles for horror. It's just great because everything's just so superhero related. I love to see more people like focus on the horror genre just because it's a great genre to work in.
My favorites, of course, is like the freaking Tales from the Crypt look.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm just like so into that. And I've been trying to do a little bit more of that kind of stuff where it's just like very intensive, like stylish, like blacks, and then you just you don't get wrapped up in the freaking shading. You just go color, and you let the blacks do the work.
Yeah.
and it's like all devilish like stuff, like Night of the Living Ex-Boyfriends, something like that, which I've actually been planning on doing like a faux kind of cover for. I really dig it.
That'd be cool.
Nice.
But yeah, so you were probably a big fan of Tales of the Crypt when it came out on HBO. Hell yeah.
I actually discovered recently I do Saturday morning cartoons as a ritual, and someone suggested to me, I didn't know that they made a Tales from the Crypt Keeper.
Totally. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Come on, Fox. Yeah.
Like I'm cool and like not really watching cartoon, or I didn't catch that it was on, and I'm like, this show is great.
But that's the great thing about the 90s is that they literally would make a cartoon out of something that shouldn't be a cartoon, and then they have action figures and toys. Like it always made me laugh, even to this day. It's like you could literally like have a kid back in the 90s watch the Toxic Crusader cartoon, and then they watch the live action movies, and it's like, oh my god, it's two different things.
Police Academy was the same way. Like,
yeah.
I mean, Police Academy was like a whole successful cartoon.
I know, but like Fox doing like their version of Toxic Crusader, then Troma doing their version. Oh my gosh, it's night and day. And they're actually remaking the Toxic Avenger. I heard about that.
Nice.
Yeah. But with you working also in the horror genre, has there been a director that you always wanted to like get to know or work with?
Hmm. I don't know if he's necessarily horror, but I think I would absolutely be tickled to death if I ever got to work with like Terry Gilliam, because he kind of rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily horror, but maybe he'll be into it. I don't know.
That's awesome.
I'll just throw that. I don't know. Like, who's even? I need to catch up on my most recent fellas and whatnot. I'm digging a lot of the new stuff that I'm seeing. Insidious was freaking amazing.
Yes.
Still haven't seen that one. I've heard that a lot though.
Oh, I dig it because like you can't prove it, but it's sort of like real stuff. Like how back in the 80s and the 70s, like you would talk about religion, like Exorcist was like terrifying because it's like, oh my God, there's demons, there's. And this one's talking about the spirit world and like astral projection and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm sort of into that because I'm kind of a hippie. I'm just like, that is goddamn terrifying. I love it.
Nice. Yeah, the Insidious movies are great. It's great whenever I see like instead of just a one spin-off like horror movie, you have like a whole franchise based around it.
In the Annabelle, the people that worked on, or the psychic investigators or whatever that had the Annabelle doll, and like they did a few stories about that. Oh, dude, it's creepy.
Oh yeah. Yes. Especially when they started introducing those other characters like the ferrymen, and I think was it great stuff. Oh, Keith was asking about the Candyman remake. I have not seen that yet.
Ooh. Oh, that just came out recently, right?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, earlier this month, late last month.
Yeah, I'm still there's so many things. I'm like, sometimes it merits a remake, and then sometimes it just like the first one was perfection. Like,
sure, yeah.
And you're just redoing it like almost shot for shot, but making it cooler. Like it kind of feels like, in the product world where you're like, oh, you're having a great success with that product. I'm just going to take that from you and change a couple lines. And now it's like way better.
Nobody wanted Crystal Pepsi forever, Like, it was cool, but like we don't want it forever. Like, we can take regular blue label brown Pepsi. I'm good. Thank you. So thank you for the memory of Crystal Pepsi also.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So with if you did some more storyboards, what would be like your favorite actor to work with?
Actor?
Yeah, like your favorite horror actor. Like, who would be your dream actor to work with?
Oh, dude, my favorite actor, like not just in horror, I would just be like Shatner. Just everything Shatner.
Yeah. That's cool.
Who's been in some amazing horror movies. If you've never seen Kingdom of the Spiders.
Yeah.
And Devil's Reign. And oh man, he had like this wonderful period in like the 70s, the 80s, like between Star Trek, where it was just like he was in the greatest freaking horror movies of all time. Yes.
Nice. Well, we're almost at 55 minutes. Do you have anything that you want to promote?
Do I have anything to what?
Do you have anything that you want to promote?
Goth Girl. Goth Girl. I'm getting some stuff together. Like, I'm not really sure. Like, as many people in this last time of wonderfulness that we've all been experiencing, I lost my job, and I, was getting unemployment for a bit, and now I'm just like, what the hell am I going to do with myself? Like, I kind of don't want to get another job because employers tend to be jerks, and I don't want to do that anymore. Not that they're not all, it's not all, but a lot.
Some are, yeah, that's fair.
And I've just, done a lot of hardcore, I think a lot of people have done a lot of hardcore soul searching and like being like, what do I really want to do with my life? Like, what if I died next week? Like, do I really want to go to a freaking job where people hate me and it's like toxic and horrible? Like, do I really want to keep doing that and be like, wow, I had a great life? Like, what do I really want to do with myself?
I was a hard worker for somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, my best years.
Wait, when you think about it, it's like jobs are really somebody is buying your life. Like they're literally buying your life.
Yeah.
And, if you're not having a good time and you're not enjoying it and you're not feeling like you're contributing to society and fulfilled and like, damn, I did a great job, kind of thing, is like, why would you do that to yourself? I mean, there is that old thing of like, well, I just got to pay my bills and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, okay, well, you need to make some plans. Like, if you're going to die, you're sitting on your freaking deathbed or whatever, and you're like, oh, yeah, I, spent 30 years at the same people who grossly underpaid me and treated me like garbage. And
I never called in sick.
Yeah, you're a good worker. We reward that.
I was employee of the month for 6 months in a row, and I worked there for 10 years.
I enjoyed that complimentary cup of coffee. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Sad, man.
Hooray me.
Things we do.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Well, it was great having you on. I really appreciate you coming on. I know when I saw you on Peter's show, I had to just ask, hey, you want to come on our show? It'd be great to have you because you're like the first non-comic book artist and our first female guest. So, rock on.
Oh, I bring booze. I'm so happy. Well, I appreciate it. It's been fun. I feel like I need to do like some more research now for like off questions that I'm like not prepared for, like simple things.
Well,
like
it was great because it was great because we had our questions, but they got answered really fast. But then the chat's always great here, especially with Chase lately. He's always like on top of stuff. So yeah, it's been awesome. Definitely. When you are you planning to have Goth Girl on Indiegogo or do any Kickstarter like that? Or are you just going to have it released directly on your website and social media?
I just draw. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out these things as kind of like I go along. I mean, aside from doing soul searching and whatever, like losing your job is like traumatic as. To be honest, like I'm like, holy, like I built this like stability, and it was just like no.
Yeah.
And and then you're like, holy shit, how am I gonna buy groceries? Like
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, I spent a significant amount of time over the last year crapping my pants.
Gotcha.
And it's amazing how much when you look back at it, you're like, I just spent a lot of time just like, what am I gonna do? Oh, I need to heal. Sage the fuck out of this place. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if I should. Are you gonna bleep me later?
No, you're good.
No. Trust me, you can cuss on the show. I mean,
I'm a sailor.
we review horror comics that have, blood, nudity in it. I mean, it's not a show for kids.
I don't know, man, because I've seen community standards like totally freak, especially with all the stuff on Facebook right now. It's like, oh yeah, you can graphically talk about like doing psychedelic drugs and like fucking like all this kind of crazy shit. But if you show somebody drawing a tit, like, like I don't understand their rating system is like, is it PG? Is it G? I'm not really sure, but I'm horribly confused, and I'm like, can I even say that? Are they going to get mad at me?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to be in jail again?
Gotcha.
And it's so precarious because of the situation in the last year and some, it's like social media is your lifeblood when you can't leave the freaking house, and like that's how you engage your audience. And I mean, it just, everything is like kind of really gone over the internet. And when I lost my Facebook page, I mean, it like somebody just cut me off, and I'm like, oh my god, what the hell do I do? Like, I've lost all of these fans, I've lost all of this like posting and information that I put up, and it's just like, and really just like totally destroyed me, kind of.
Yeah.
We live in like the weakest, lamest version of Demolition Man you could ever imagine.
They didn't even have Taco Bell.
Yeah, it's like the game Demolition Man just became Wipeout, and you're like, what? Like, this is not that. This is like Dollar Tree Demolition Man. But it's like it's how we all live. It's the pits, man. It really is.
That needs to be a band name. I'm kind of hip on like making T-shirts for bands that don't exist. Like Dollar Store Demolition Man sounds freaking great.
Oh, Squashy, you showed up late, man. We were getting ready to close up.
No.
Snooze, you lose. If you don't have something to buy, you gotta go, Squatchy. Sorry, man. Fitting rooms are closed.
Oh.
No, whenever you get Goth Girl up and running, just let us know and we'll promote it on the show for you. Okay.
Like I said, like right now I just got like I restarted the Facebook page, and I'm kind of like building people. Not like super heavy into it because I'm not singly focused yet. I'm still like, well, what about this and what about right. It's been real fun in here. I gotta tell you.
Well, whatever you decide to do, we'll promote it. You know, we as creators know how hard it is, and just focusing on one type of genre, it's even more of a niche area because everything's superheroes. But I'm glad to see more people are focusing on horror more, and you see a lot of horror movies and horror stuff going on in basically the world. So
I like kind of like glossing it over and just being like horror. Like, did you say horror?
Yeah.
Does that mean you're more horror than I?
Yeah.
Right?
Scarier.
Oh, you are so horror than I am.
Well, Jason, you got anything that you want to promote before we leave?
No, y'all just go check out minicomicbundles.com. We got horror, guys, like you wouldn't believe. This was the first month where we were like, maybe don't show these to the kids. Like it was a fun month, just about everything is horror. Even Drifter starts to actually drift from Kung Fu Mystic to a little bit of horror starting in this episode. So check him out, minicomicbundles.com, guys. But also I have a review up on Indie Comic Dispatch .com. I'm writing reviews for them for comics, and this was a good one. So check out Indie Comic Dispatch right under reviews. You'll find my book, Jason Alexander. Instagram, Fallbreaker Studios. Maybe I'll turn up somewhere else one day.
Gotcha.
Hopefully not floating. I don't want to be too negative. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to die. That's all.
And I got Zoe's all her Instagram and stuff like that in the descriptions, but this is her website link as well for anybody who wants to go check out more of her artwork and stuff like that.
Sorry, it's a Wix site right now. I actually bought zoebones.com, and I just haven't. God, there's so much stuff to do.
There's always something to do.
I need minions. My cats are lazy. Like they don't do
Yeah. It's never. This is the wrong world for minions. Like,
Right.
remember, like this is this is like Dollar Tree. Like anything that you ask for is going to be the worst version of it. Like
Exactly.
you gotta just give up. Like you gotta make it on your own sometimes, man.
Dollar Tree Demolition Man, 99 cents
That's
for minions.
That's it. Yeah.
And
Like these are just Twinkies with goggles. They're not even alive.
Right.
I can't do it. I can't tell them what to do. They're just gonna eat them.
Exactly.
Twinkies with guns.
And everybody, go to Tapas, my horror webcomic series, A Vengeful Heart. Next year, it's going to come out as a physical book. Almost finishing up episode 3 now. It'll be out by the end of the month on my birthday. So it's just, I'm having fun with it. Just my baby project.
Yeah.
And
Go get Ronnie's baby, guys.
Yeah, it's fun.
No, not like that. Just, you know what I mean, guys.
Right.
Go read it.
But thank you everyone joining the chats. Giving your questions out. Zoe, again, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a blast. Thank you.
All right, we'll see y'all next week. Bye.
All right, y'all be good.